Imagine a warrior so consumed by fury that he feels no pain. A man who transforms into a beast on the battlefield. This wasn't a myth. This was the terrifying reality of the Viking Berserker. These elite warriors were the stuff of nightmares for anyone who stood against them. A force that carved a bloody path across Europe. But what was the secret behind their legendary rage? The story begins not just with training, but with something far more mystical. Legends speak of a sacred amulet, a powerful artifact believed to hold a fragment of the wild, untamable spirit of Odin, the All-Father himself. Those who dared to wear this amulet were said to undergo a profound transformation. They would enter a trance-like state, a battle fury known as the Berserker Rage. In this state, they were no longer just men. A surge of what could only be described as superhuman strength would course through their veins. Their bodies, hardened by battle, would become seemingly immune to pain. A sword strike that would fell an ordinary man might only enrage a berserker further. The sagas whisper that the amulet stripped away every ounce of fear, every shred of mercy, leaving behind only a vessel of pure, unadulterated rage. Picture the chaos of a Viking shield wall, the clang of steel, the screams of the dying, and then a roar that drowns out all other sounds. A berserker, eyes wide and frenzied, breaks from the line. He charges forward, a whirlwind of destruction. In this state, there is no friend, no foe. There is only the enemy in front of them, and they attack both ally and adversary with the same ferocious, indiscriminate intensity. They were a living weapon, pointed at the enemy, but just as dangerous to those who stood beside them. But such incredible power always comes with a terrible price. The amulet was not a gift. It was a curse in disguise. When the last enemy had fallen and the fires of battle cooled, the rage would finally subside. But what was left in its wake was often a broken man. The wearers would frequently suffer a complete mental and emotional collapse. The psychological toll of unleashing such unrestrained fury was immense. Imagine the horror of returning to your senses, covered in blood, with no clear memory of the carnage you just caused. Perhaps even finding the bodies of your own shield brothers at your feet. Many never fully recovered. Their minds became lost in the echoing screams of their own fury, forever haunted by the beast they had unleashed. They were shells of their former selves, a stark warning of the dangers of power without control. This is why berserkers were both revered and deeply feared, even by their own people. Becoming a berserker was not a path for the faint of heart. They often formed small, tight-knit bands, sometimes no more than a dozen strong, roaming the lands as a brotherhood of outcasts. To be accepted into their ranks, an aspiring warrior had to prove their worth through brutal, ritualistic trials. These weren't mere spars. They were fights to test the very limits of endurance and ferocity. It was a process designed to break a man and rebuild him in the image of a predator. Many would adopt names that reflected their new identity. Names like Bern, meaning bear, or Og, meaning wolf, were common. This wasn't just a nickname, it was a declaration. They were aligning themselves with these powerful totem animals, embracing their connection to the wild, untamed forces of nature. They saw themselves as men who could channel the spirit of the bearer's strength, its resilience, its unthinking rage. So, what was the real source of this berserker rage? Was it truly a magical amulet touched by a god? Historians and scholars have debated this for centuries. While the sagas favor the mystical explanation, modern theories point to more earthly causes. One prominent theory suggests the controlled use of certain substances, the consumption of large quantities of strong alcohol, combined with psychoactive plants like henbane or certain hallucinogenic mushrooms, could certainly trigger extreme emotional states and reduce the sensation of pain. However, this method was wildly unpredictable. The same mushroom that could fuel one man's battle fury could plunge another into a deep catatonic depression, or send him into a fit of paranoia, making him useless in a fight. This inherent instability meant that true, reliable berserkers, those who could consistently channel their rage without breaking, were exceptionally rare. They were a special class of warrior, respected for their power, but always watched with a wary eye. You never knew when the beast would turn on its master. This combination of ritual, psychological conditioning, and possible substance use created a warrior unlike any other. They were a psychological weapon as much as a physical one. The mere presence of a berserker on the battlefield could sow terror in the enemy ranks before a single blow was struck. Their reputation preceded them, a wave of fear that could break an army's morale. But as the Viking Age waned, so too did the legend of the berserker put the rise of more organized, disciplined armies and the spread of Christianity with its condemnation of such pagan practices spelled the end for these wild warriors. They were relics of an older, more brutal time, incompatible with the new world that was emerging. What happened to the amulet, the supposed source of their terrible power? The stories say it was lost to time. Perhaps it was buried deep in the earth, hidden away from those who would seek its power. Or maybe it was cast into the depths of the sea, its curse finally broken, sinking into the cold, dark silence. The berserker faded from the battlefield and into the pages of legend. But their story serves as a powerful and chilling reminder. It's a cautionary tale about the nature of power. Power without control, without wisdom, without restraint, is not a strength. It's a self-consuming fire, a living nightmare that destroys not only its enemies, but the one who wields it. The berserker may have been a fearsome warrior, but he was also a prisoner of his own rage. A man who sacrificed his humanity for a brief, glorious, and terrible moment of power. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark side of the Viking world, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more tales from history. We'll see you in the next one.